Hello everyone, it is Harper here. It really has been a while, hasn't it? I hope you've had a bit of festive cheer recently, whether you're into Christmas or not, whether or not it's your thing. I know I definitely have. My spirits, I've got to say, lifted even higher today because finally, after way too long, I've got a podcast episode for you. Unfortunately enough, Lockie and I just haven't been able to put enough time into the podcast over the last couple of months. Very, very sorry for that. It's disappointing, frustrating. Hence, obviously, the relative lack of episodes. Obviously now, though, we are back. Little special episode here. There's a good chance you're listening to this on New Year's Eve. So we're coming up to the time where many have a go at self-improvement, maybe have a crack at a resolution, anything like that. Lots of people do that, lots of people don't, but whether you do or not, I think you will enjoy this episode. We did think it would be nice to put something a little bit special together. So it's a clip show, technically, but if you listen all the way through, you might just find yourself stewing on someone's words of wisdom days or weeks from now that you hear in this episode. And if you've listened at all over the past year and a bit, I'd say you probably have done, you know that we ask our guests if they have a life philosophy, guiding principle type thing. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. And that is what this episode is made up of. 28 people who have climbed the mountain of sport. They gave us their pearls of wisdom all throughout 2021, pearls of advice, pearls of wisdom. I'm super, super grateful for it personally, because you can say what you want about athletes being dumb and all that kind of thing, but I think we have been fortunate enough to speak to some very incredibly switched on people who have clearly worked very hard to become just the all-round awesome people, not just like being inspirational on the pitch or on the field or on the track or wherever it may be, but these people are just so nice, just such awesome people, each and every one of them, really. So yeah, that's what this is. We will put the brief little quotes or mantras or whatever in a Twitter thread at WDWB pod, which you can flick through. And if you'd like just a kind of quick hit type thing of the sports people getting all deep and philosophical, you can check out the description of this episode, and that's got all the kind of timestamps of each athlete's life philosophy. You can skip to whatever one you want, whatever few you want. But we just thought it'd be easier to put them all in order from the start of the year to the end of the year. Thought that would be the best way to do it. So I'm going to get into it. First guest of 2021 from episode 31, legend of Aussie cricket. It was a joy to speak to this guy. It was a pinch yourself moment, I must say, in the studio. The great man, Merv Hughes.
A mantra I live by and have done for a long time is SBS and DFD. If you live by those two things, you can't go wrong. So strictly beer only and don't fucking dance. They're the only two things I live by. So I hope your crew don't mind me swearing, but you can bleep it out, I suppose. You've got a technician out the back who'd be really good. But, yeah, I mean, and the mantra that I do a lot of coaching, and the mantra I try to pass on to players and the philosophy I've got is it doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter what industry you're in. If you want to be better than the next bloke, do more. So if you're playing cricket, if everyone trains twice a week and plays Saturday, if you want to become better, you just do more. Train 3-4 times a week. Just things like that. So just the little things matter.
I'm going to keep my little introductions for each person very short, very sharp for the rest of these. But this one, I just want to say very, very quickly, this was a personal thrill for me, this one coming up. It is episode 32, Andrew McGrath from the Essendon Football Club. When we started this podcast, the old co-host Jackson, hello Jackson if you're listening, I said, being a massive Essendon fan, it would be amazing to speak to Andrew McGrath. Like, if we get to speak to Andy, almost shut the podcast down. We've reached the pinnacle because I idolised and still probably idolise this guy. He's incredible. We didn't shut the podcast down after this, obviously. Otherwise, it would be a very short clip show. And you wouldn't be hearing from me because we would have finished in about March. But anyway, Andrew McGrath, great guy. In the studio, he was for this one as well at the start of the year before all lockdown started happening again. Here he is, episode 32, Andrew McGrath with his life philosophy.
We work on, talked a little bit about the club psyche and our purposes as people. And I guess we go through this whole process to find your purpose. And my purpose is to inspire through courage and kindness. So that's kind of how I live my life every day. I try and impact people in a positive way through my actions and the way I treat them. And I think that sort of sums me up in a nutshell, that little phrase. But that has sort of evolved a little bit in the last couple of years, but that's where I'm at right now.
The Class of 2020 series, which we started this year, but we're going to continue it on for years to come, of course, with AFL draftees from the 2020 AFL draft. It has been so good, a delight. It's been so exciting to do, so fun to do, following 5 players, interviewing them, chatting with them every 6 months. It's just been so amazing, so good, so fun. So life philosophies of these guys, they might change throughout the episodes, but here they are from the first episodes. The first ones they did back in around March. I think we recorded them in February, but they came out in March. Kick it off with a couple Perth boys. You'll hear second, Freo's small forward, Joel Weston from the Fremantle Dockers, of course. But first up, the key defender from the Hawthorn Football Club, Denver Grainger-Barras.
My mum drove it from a very young age, but one was don't buy into the bull crap, bull tish. It's always just been something just like stay in your own world, just you do you sort of thing. Another one is have courage and be kind always. It's another mantra that I've always followed. I'm currently in the process. We've worked with Ray McLean, one of the development people at Hawthorn, and currently in the process of developing my own, I guess, a catchphrase or motto. And it'd be something revolved around being the best.
I'm reading a book at the moment, and it's got some really good, like quotes as well in it. And it's like something I'd really like to go by. It's just been like really relentless, kind of. So, for example, I'd not get in a game in the scratch match tomorrow against the Eagles, but just being relentless and make sure I'm hitting back at it, and training hard just to push my way into the squad for the next week after that.
What's that book called?
It's called Relentless by Tim Grover. It's a really good book. It talks about mostly Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan stuff. He's done a lot of work with them on the mental side, but yeah, it's a really, really good book, and I encourage every listener to give it a read.
Continuing on in this Class of 2020 Life Philosophy Extravaganza, Matthew Allison from the St Kilda Footy Club, second, that is, but what you're going to hear right now from GWS, Ryan Angwin.
Ever since COVID and that, I've tried to gain the Marvel mentality, so obviously trying to learn off like Kobe's sort of way of life, just continually wanting to get better and improve every day, just no matter what. So if there's anybody out there listening, I suppose, just try to get that into your daily regime, whatever it may be, whether it's sport or just working, try to get the best out of yourself and be the best version of you can be, I suppose.
My grandpa actually told me this one. It's sort of actually made me think quite a bit actually about it. He said, no one's perfect. And I know it's only 3 words, but made me think quite a bit that, no one is perfect, no matter how privileged you are. You can have the best life ever. If you're not mentally and physically happy with yourself, then, life, you're just not living a great life, I don't think. So, that's one that's always stuck with me because, I don't know why. It's not really a quote or anything, but it's so true. Like, no one is perfect. There's going to be times where, we crack it, but we lose, get frustrated over something. We say something we don't mean. There's just going to be times like that where we have moments where we regret, but it's what you do. And I suppose it's what you do with, don't really know how to explain it, but I suppose it's how you prove that you're sorry or whatever for the mistakes you've made. So I've gone into a bit of detail there, boys, but it's just one that stuck with me for a while. No one's perfect.
Last class of 2021, the life philosophy of Geelong Cats youngster, Max Holmes.
I reckon my philosophy is that I always live my life by the idea that I just want to get everything out of myself, or I just want to do every little thing that I can do to hit the highest level of achievement or anything I can do. So last year, for example, with the draft, I just said to myself, if I train as hard as I can, do everything possible. If we had to play games, if I played as well as I could but didn't get drafted, well, so be it. It's disappointing. Would have loved to get drafted, but I did everything I could, so I'm satisfied. So I think, living a life where you do everything possible to get the most out of yourself is, good one.
Couple of people now who are just tremendously talented in their own very, very different ways. Second, we're going to have Neroli Meadows, host of the fantastic Ordinarily Speaking podcast, and she's a cricket journo, she's a footy journo. Just stupendously talented media woman. Neroli Meadows, love her. So that was recorded in January, actually, 20th of January, 2021. That was a long time ago, wasn't it? Just having a look back, but recorded even earlier than that. This one was actually the 21st of December, 2020. I can't believe we did this over a year ago. This guy was just so good to talk to. Drew Ginn. 3-time Olympic gold medalist in the rowing. He's an amazing cyclist as well. He's had a crack at world records and all that kind of thing. He's amazing. Drew Ginn, and then after that, Neroli Meadows.
Optimism. Just, I think, have an unusual sense of optimism about what's possible. Optimism about people around you. I think even, you use a situation like the pandemic, it's very easy for people to get into a very pessimistic, negative mindset, and it's hard. I don't disagree, but, life could be worse.
Definitely.
I've heard that sort of said all the time. And so I think just being able to have an optimistic outlook and realise that the best way to engage in improving things is to connect with others. But you've got to connect to yourself first. You've got to have that real understanding of what you're about. And that takes a long time. And so I think being optimistic, knowing when you're in and out of that sort of headspace is really key, and knowing how you're engaging with people. And I've always sort of said that if I'm going to jump in a boat with someone, I want to be in a boat with someone that sort of thinks that anything's possible. Don't like necessarily being in a rowing boat where, there's limitations, there's barriers and there's resistance all the time. And so for me, just finding that optimism inside myself is probably key, but also with others as well.
Yeah, I just think, once again, that don't let a fear of failure get in the way of having a crack. It's so important to live life and do things to the best of your ability and try new things, because you just don't know how strong you are until you get out of your comfort zone. And I think it's really important to embrace that. And the other thing I would say is never get to a space where you're not celebrating your mates. Always celebrate your mates and their achievements, and always empathise with their struggles, because you never want to be the person that was, too caught up in their own head to not rejoice in a close friend or a family member having their own little wins.
I spoke about different for those two guys, but for these two, how's this for different? One of these guys came to us from Coburg in Melbourne. One of these guys came to us from Brazil, somewhere in Brazil. So I'll let you work out which one is which. Second one is Liam Pickering, the awesome, fantastic media personality for Aussie Rules Football, player agent as well, managed some superstars in the AFL, played for Geelong, handy player himself in the footy, handy cricketer too. But before that, Melbourne Victory legend in the A-League, spent some time at the Wellington Phoenix too, spent some time at the Wolverhampton Wanderers, actually Wolves, now in the English Premier League. This one was really cool. Guy Finkler. Former Socceroo and legendary A-League defender Jade North is briefly in the middle there as well.
I try to live as good as I can. Like, I don't know if I'm going to answer your question, but you let me know after. When I was at Victory, I had a chance to go to China. And I didn't go because the lifestyle that I had in Melbourne was something I was wishing for. So I have mentality to live the best you can. I don't think about tomorrow. I live good. Obviously, you think about tomorrow or the day after now, especially with kids. But try to have like the best day today, and then see what happens tomorrow. It's something I took from football. When you go to training, you go and leave everything there, because tomorrow is another day. So that's something I always made my decision. When I went to Melbourne, I had 1 year and a half more contract with the club here. And I asked them to leave. So the club bought for me from another club. And they say, look, we paid you. We paid the club for you. I said, look, I'm not happy anymore. I wanna go somewhere else. And the president was pretty unhappy with me, but at the end, I made the best decision that I could.
There's one Todd Woods used to use it. The more you practice, the luckier you get. I used to like that one growing up.
Always play up to the best level you can as a sportsman. So play up, don't play down. So don't, if you can be uncomfortable when you're going up to the next level because you don't know anyone. And that was always my theory is, I'm going to play up at the highest level I can all the time. So if I say that to players that get delisted from an AFL club, is they want to I'll go back and play with my mates. Well, you're 21. Don't do that. Go and play in the VFL. That's the next best level. So you play at the best level you can. That's always been a theory of mine. And from a cricket footy perspective is and I say this to kids as well because I did it. Don't be told that you can't. You've got to make a decision when you're 15 or 16. Just don't be told. If you really want to keep playing cricket or you want to keep playing basketball and you're good at both and you're really good and you like them both the same, you'll choose your own direction. You'll find your own way. You don't need to be told that, well, if you give up, if you don't give up cricket, well, we're not going to look at drafting you. Well, you will. You'll still draft them if they're good. So that's my view, is that don't let others tell you what your decision on what career path you're going to take.
Mate, that's a great point because especially people when they're like 15, 16, like you don't even know what you're doing at 18, 20, let alone at that age. So it is quite a lot of unfair pressure obviously placed on young people having to choose a sport. Yeah, it is. And that's my view is that other people are making decisions on what you should do. At the end of the day, what you do is what you've got to be happy with. It's the best thing for you. So, yeah, I tend to say, and I say that to these dual sportsmen, talented sort of kids that, yeah, it's not up to someone else to tell you what to do.
Some scratchy audio in that Lena Pickering one. Sorry about that. Got some scratchy audio in the next one as well, unfortunately. But the second one in this couple I'm going to play now is Georgia Nanscawen, captain of the Essendon Bombers VFLW team, also represented Australia at the Olympics in hockey. There's a bit more difference for you. There you go. She was super cool woman to speak to. Before that, though, Alex Woodward, who just had an extraordinary story. I highly recommend you listen to that episode with Alex Woodward. He played for Hawthorn in the AFL. Just had so many crazy things going on in his life. Still does now. Episode 38, I think that was. After that, it's Georgia Nanscawen. But right now, Alex Woodward. Enjoy these two.
Yeah, I suppose if we're harping on about the positivity, I was always a big believer in life having moments of impact, and obviously I've had that in more ways than one, and so has everyone else. And look, it develops you into the person that you are today, and then it's just a matter of finding the silver lining in tough situations. There's always a way out, or there's always a better option. So they're sort of things that I focus on, and look, if anyone else wants to take that, then fantastic. But yeah, I'm sort of going to always have that mantra to live by.
Yeah, I think, as you said, it's pretty much touched on to do with it, something that will make you happy, something that you enjoy. And as you said, I probably don't do things by halves. If I commit to something, I commit to it pretty hard. And I think that's a good way to live your life. If you're going to go for it. And then do something that makes you happy.
Oh, such fond memories going into these episodes now. Honestly, I can hardly wipe the smile off my face remembering speaking to these 10 Olympic athletes that we spoke to in the lead up to Tokyo 2020 or 2021, whatever you want to say. And second here, the Aussie flyweight boxer represented us in Tokyo, Alex Winwood. Before that, though, represented Australia as well, funnily enough, in Tokyo. Live from the studio, this one. Not quite live, I guess. But anyway, Aussie Taekwondo fighter, Stacey Hymer. I'll stop waffling.
Just be happy. Yeah, that's a big thing for me. You know, I enjoy what I do, but, you know, finding that happiness in virtually everything you do, like, you eat, you're happy you're eating. You're training, you're happy you're training. You're listening to music, you're happy listening to this music. You know, everything's just enjoyment of life. So just doing what makes you feel good.
I think just like leaving no stone unturned and being kind to people is really how I take life as it is. And I think that's done me pretty good so far. So I'm not going to skip the script now.
I'll just introduce one here. Canoe slalom was a sport that blew up on these shores during the Tokyo Olympics around July or whenever it was. Lucien Delfour, this guy is. It's a long answer, so that's why I'm keeping it to just one, but he does give a few great guiding principles within a cracking story. So here is Lucien Delfour.
You know, I've got a few principles like probably in life or like within sports. I don't know if I've got one that really... I would say, I would say this, like when it comes to sport, we didn't really touch on that, but when I started, I was really shit. And that's why I stopped, because I hated it.
Sounds like me at most sports, except I don't start again.
Yeah. Like I was not talented at all. And funnily enough, part of my studies was talent identification. So in my case, I was not talented at all. Like if you had tested me or assessed me at the time, you would have, noticed that I wasn't good enough. So I think I would say this in a case of sports, you just got to be, as an athlete, you got to be mindful of talents or like other talented people and try not to be frustrated, because like for some people it just takes longer to get better in any sport. I wasn't gifted. Like it just took me so long to get to a good level, and then suddenly it was like I was actually paddling well. Sometimes you just need a bit more time than the others. And that was a frustrating bit when I was like 15, 16, when I moved to Pro, when I joined this high level junior program. I was training with people like better than me, but I thought I was okay. I thought it was good, but some of them, like most of them, I was probably the youngest, to be honest, but they just paddle better, And it took me quite a while to catch up, and that was quite frustrating. But yeah, I would say you got to be patient. And we've lost in Australia. We've lost quite a few paddlers because they made a team in juniors and they could not make the team in under 23s. Under 23s is such a huge step up. It's just full of frustration and disappointment. For years, you're not going to make the team. And that's quite hard to accept. And it was quite hard for me because in France, like you went from juniors to under 23s, it was savage. Like the difference of level was absolutely savage.
We'll whip through these Olympic ones. Jason Waterhouse, the sailor from the Olympics, second. But before that, Aussie track cycling legend Kaarle McCulloch.
I think for me, I used to get asked a lot when I was a bit younger, who's your hero? Who's your role model? And I really struggled to answer that question because I was like, I don't really have a hero or a role model. My best life advice, I think, is to find the best qualities in every person and try and find a way to use that for your own good. So, I never wanted to be just like enemies, but there were things about enemies that I did like and that I did want to take on. Just like there were things about Stephanie Morton that, she was the opposite to me. She was so chilled out and laid back, and she would be singing on the start line, and I'd be like, "What are you doing?" So that I've taken those good things about all the people that I meet and try to use them in a way that I think could be advantageous to myself. And I think that that could be my best life advice to people is to find the good in every person.
Yeah, I do actually. Everything's a test is probably the biggest one. So whenever as athletes, it's tricky. Like the public only sees you when things are going well generally, like when you're on the top of the podium or lifting the cup or whatever. But the reality is 99% is failure and you're just striving for that 1%. So, when it comes to injuries or bad performances, I always have to sort of sit down and remind myself that, Jace, everything's just a test. Like it's just testing how bad you want it, how bad you want that gold medal. So you're gonna mope or you're gonna get up or get out there and train harder for next time. And the second one's probably nothing is given, everything is earned. So that's just another reminder for me that, it's not going to come to you. You got to go for it.
We'll go bang bang here for these next two. Speaking of bang, Aussie shooter Sergei Evglevski. Second, before that though, the woman who holds the long jump record for any Australian woman, Brooke Stratton.
I think my life philosophy is just live life to the fullest. Do what makes you happy in life because, there's no point living life if you're unhappy. So, surround yourself with people that lift you up, that make you smile and, do things that you enjoy.
Have you got a bit of a life philosophy or a mantra or a quote that you live by and kind of let guide your decisions in your life, Sergei?
We know that you go with the Nike quote, "Just do it." But apart from that,
well, that's actually what I wanted to say. Like, I think it's literally just do it, but there's a bit more leaves on that branch, if that makes sense. So it's just it's not just like just do it. It's you've got to give your 100% to everything you do. Like my dad used to grind me when I was younger about untying my shoelaces or like putting my shoes back in the right spot or putting the hat back, putting your keys back in the right spot, because his philosophy was if you do every little task like that, you're going to accomplish a lot more things. Like those little tasks turn into big tasks, and then those big tasks, turn into like promotions at work or whatever it is. You know what I mean? So like if you can finish off little tasks like untying your shoes instead of just ripping them off your feet, then you can do anything kind of thing. Does that make sense or not really?
I completely get you. And then I've got to follow up to that. So it's like making your bed in the morning. Are you a person that makes their bed? Because it sort of goes down to that.
I 100% make my bed.
I know. Seems like the kind of guy. Yeah.
If my partner listens to this, she'll disagree because she thinks I do a poor effort of it. But I never leave it, open. I put it over the pillows, tuck the corners in. We're all good.
Not everyone has a particular life philosophy, but I thought there was a nice kind of wholesome answer to this one. Water polo player Lena Mihailovic for the Aussie Stingers.
Actually, I thought about this, but I don't know. There's nothing really in particular. But yeah, like with water polo, it'll probably be like team above all, because for me, like being with a team for so long and living, there is a lot of times where you think about yourself, but it's actually the most important thing is to think what is the best for the team. So I think living with a team for so long, that's what kind of helped us become a better team. And since I've been like with them for so long in the last few months, that's probably
not in Canberra though. That's what you're happy about. Not in Canberra.
Exactly. Closer to the beach.
Now, you don't have a life philosophy, which is fair enough. Not everyone has a life philosophy. I don't really have a particular life philosophy, but a question I might ask instead of that, what do you think the kind of positive traits are that other people see in you? What makes you a kind of good person to hang out with?
I think because of my experiences that I lived in so many different places and I met a lot of people and been through a lot of different experiences, I find it really easy to connect with people and understand them, no matter where you're from or what have you been through. So I think that's something, wherever I went, I made really good friends and I felt like I made really good connections. So that's probably one thing.
Good to have a bit of variety in there. To finish us off for the Olympic ones. Second, the 1500 metre runner, Jade Edwards. But before that, Rachael, Lynch, Aussie hockey goalkeeper, legend of the sport. Here she is.
We'll go to our final question before our very famous last segment. And it's just life philosophy. Is there any few words that you sort of live your life by?
Oh, that's deep.
It's as deep as you make it.
Normally in a hockey space, my advice in general and what I live by is just to be a sponge and soak everything in, listen, learn, absorb as much as you can, but then squeeze out the stuff that doesn't apply to you or that doesn't work for you. But as a general rule with life, it's just to be kind. That's sort of what I try and do and be kind to people. A few people asked me how I celebrated the actual Olympic announcement. We found out on the Friday and then it wasn't public till the Monday. And Saturday night, I just planned the weekend to be by myself because I actually didn't think I was going to get picked. So I wanted to be by myself. And then when I did, it was a great opportunity for me to reflect. So Saturday night, I ordered some Japanese takeaway, walked into Northbridge. I was sitting there waiting for it to be cooked or prepared or whatever. And these two homeless guys came over and just they sat near me and were just chatting. And, I had my runners on and he was like, oh, you got, cool shoes. And he had some cool Nikes on. So we're talking about that and just got chatting. Anyway, my food came. I grabbed it. I went down the street, ordered 2 kebabs, came back, gave it to these guys. I also bought a bag of some deodorant and some snacks and stuff because, they told me their story of why they were living on the street and just sat there and had a meal with them. So that was my Olympic celebration evening.
I just like to, as best as possible, have no regrets with things. I know that's so cliche and whatever, but it's just with this sport, I don't want to leave any stone unturned sort of thing. And it's so easy to look back on particularly races and stuff and think, could have done that, should have done that. But, it's all in the heat of the moment and you've only got 3.5 minutes out there and, you just got to give it your all and whatever decision you make at the time, that's just what happens. So as long as I can, look back and have had a good crack, left nothing to chance, giving it my all and then hopefully look back in 10 years' time with a career I can be happy with, that's all I can really do.
I was very sad when the Olympics were over. I'm not quite as sad that the Olympic life philosophies are over because amazing as they were, we have got some crackers to come. Second here is Joey Gibbs. Fascinating story. This guy, I highly recommend again listening to this episode. Playing in Iceland at the moment, has just had a roller coaster ride of a career, smashing it in Iceland, just scoring goal after goal after goal. May or may not be distant relation to Lockie Gibbs as well. Who knows? But before that, recently debuted for the Australian Test team, the Australian ODI team in the cricket, of course. Fast bowler, Stella Campbell.
Well, I guess I like to live my life, with a smile on my face. I like to enjoy everything that I do, and I think if I have a smile on my face, I'm having a good day and I'm enjoying what I'm doing. So, I guess as much as I can, just smile and enjoy it. That's what I would say to most people out there in their life or in cricket or wherever it is. If you're smiling, you know you're having a good time.
I've started reading a lot of the kind of the Stoic philosophy type of thing, So I have this book where it's 365 days and there's a different kind of message from an old Stoic philosopher, where it's Marcus Aurelius or Seneca or something like that. I think So there's all these different little inputs of wisdom each day. But when it comes to me, I don't know. I guess I'm always trying to live it, to be honest. But there's an old, well, not old, but I listen to his podcast sometimes, Craig Duncan, and he has this thing called the deathbed scorecard. It sounds a bit morbid, but it just really appealed to me. It's like a kind of a more of a notion of looking at, when you're on your deathbed, what are the most important things that you'll be thinking about, or what you'll be remembered for. It's kind of quite broad in saying that, but it's like, I don't think of it every day, but it's something I think it's kind of cool to think about sometimes, put things in perspective, and it's kind of a way of rating what's most important for you right now and in the future.
Might do a similar thing for this next year, but last two for this year. Second, Jai Caldwell. Scratch the audio again, sorry, in the studio. It's a shame. Essendon player, absolute gun. Loved his appearance on the show. Jai Caldwell's second, but first, an episode that honestly, my cheeks were a bit damp when I was just chatting with Wes Agar, the Aussie bowler. South Australia recently debuted for the national team as well in the West Indies, which is incredible guy. Hope you enjoy these two final life philosophies of 2021.
And now we've got our final question before we move on to the quiz. It's a life philosophy. Do you have any few little words that you sort of live your life by?
Not really. I'm pretty happy-go-lucky bloke. Just be a good person. And I know that's a pretty broad saying, but it can be hard sometimes. But as long as you've got a good set of values, which I try to work on every day. I got my core set of values and to make me the best person I can be and give 100% whatever I'm doing. Always give 100% and don't half-ass it.
I create my own reality.
Ooh, explain. That's an interesting one. I like that.
I've got a sticker on my mirror at home. It's basically, I create my own reality. You make your own life. Like, you get out what you need to do, what you want to achieve. I just saw it like once, and then I got a sticker of it. So I just put it on my window. Not my window. What do you call it? A mirror. Get up. I create my own reality.
There you go.
Beautiful. Inspirational words to always start the day.
Yeah.
Is that all right? You like that one?
Yeah, I like that one. That's a good one.
I'll have to get that sticker as well.
Yeah.
Haven't managed to get my hands on that sticker yet. If you do know a good sticker guy, send him or her my way, because I would love a little sticker with that quote on it. Anyway, those are the 28 life philosophies that we, I guess, were offered by our guests throughout the year. I really enjoyed bringing them to you guys in this little clip show. Hope you guys took something out of it as well. Thought it might be a little fun idea. Hope you enjoyed it. Let us know if you had a favourite or something that you've really taken on board. I know I've taken plenty of these on board. Hopefully, maybe a bit of self-improvement from them. But yeah, hope you enjoyed them. Enjoy the new year. If you're listening to this in 2022, hope it's a good one. Hope it's better than 2020 and 2021. We will be back in January next year, or this year, or January 2022. Simplify it. January 2022. Back on the airwaves with full, proper episodes, not just clip shows. More life philosophies coming your way. You can check out old stuff of ours, wheredowebegin.com.au, or just wherever you listen to this podcast. There'll be more of these, because that is how podcast apps work. But wheredowebegin.com.au, would really like you to check it out. Took a lot of effort to get that all together, so have a look at that. Thank you very much for an awesome year, guys. It's been awesome to bring all these episodes to you throughout the year. It's it's incomprehensible how much I appreciate you guys listening to the show. Little podcast, but being so little, it means you appreciate every listener all the more, I think, and everyone who interacts. So please get in touch with us if you like any episodes, because we really do cherish any feedback we get, or just people having a chat about the podcast. We absolutely love it. Happy New Year, guys. Hope you enjoyed your Christmas festive period, whatever you celebrate. We'll see you in 2022 in January with a fun couple episodes that we've recorded already. Thanks for the year, guys. Have a very good one. From Harper at Where Do We Begin?